For as long as I can remember, I've always been into martial arts. At first, it was Muay Thai. I was really into that, really enjoyed striking. But then it turned into Jiu Jitsu. I still have a lot of respect for the striking arts, but right now it's grappling, it's Jiu Jitsu. And the truth is, there's really nothing in the world that I want to get good at right now in terms of learning a new skill as much as I want to get good at jujitsu. And because of that, I obsess over it. I've become quite the nerd. I ask questions every single opportunity that I get, and I study a lot. Like, I can't tell you guys how much I study this art right now. Now, I asked my jujitsu professor a question. His name is Tony Caceres. I've shown him on this channel multiple times. He's a high level black belt under Lucas Lepri. And I asked him this question right here. I said, "Good evening, Professor. Can I ask you a question? Two questions, actually. If you were to be brutally honest with me, how good do you truly believe I could get at jujitsu? Like, if Lucas Lepri is a 10, by the time I get to black belt, what rating do you think I have the potential to reach? Average? Slightly above average? Below average?" And then I asked him, second question, if someone wanted to get as good as someone like Lucas Lepri, what sort of work does he or she need to put in? How many times a week would you say I'd need to train? What sort of lifestyle would you say I'd need to have? So this is a question that I asked him, and he gave me an answer. He sent me a almost 8 minute long answer, and I want to listen to it for the first time right here. I'm nervous about what he's going to say because this is it's kind of a sore subject for me. Like, I really want to get good, and I've told him to be brutally honest with me, and he generally is. So if he tells me, yeah, man, watching you, I don't think you're ever going to get good, it's going to hurt, bro. It really is going to hurt. So here we go. Fingers crossed, nervous to hear what he's going to say. But let's listen together and see what he says.
Hey Henry, I'm just getting these messages, man. I got a new phone. Like, I got an upgrade on the phone on Friday, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So it signed me out of everything on Friday. So I didn't realize that I didn't have my WhatsApp connected till right now. So I just logged on to my WhatsApp. So I didn't know you sent me these questions. Um, yeah, those are good questions, man. Those are all good, really good questions. So I think at the rate you're going, I believe when you get a black belt, you will probably be slightly above average, only because you have a family, you're so busy with the family, with the girls and your wife. It's hard to leave.
Slightly above average. So he's pretty much saying you're going to be as good as you are in EA Sports UFC 4. Oh man. That's a that's a hard one, man. That's a tough pill to swallow. Cuz in EA Sports UFC 4, like, I would say I am above average, but I'm definitely not elite. Like, I'm good. I can beat a bunch of people, but like, damn, bro. Yikes. Yikes.
Can you get as good as Lucas? The answer is always yes. Well, actually, no, it's not always yes. The answer is usually always yes to athletes like yourself and me, right? Who have the potential because we're athletic by nature. We're fast twitch. We're more type 1 muscle fiber. We have more anaerobic power. So when I was a coach in track and field, the coaches, the conferences and the meetings I would go to, the coach would always say, I rather have an athletic person who can run anything than a long distance person. And let me explain why. Because first of all, an athletic person can be a sprinter, a mid distance, and a long distance. Even though long distance might not be their genetic like strength, you can convert a sprinter into a mid distance and long distance. In fact, that's what you have at the very high levels. A long distance person who's a slow twitch guy, right? Not much muscle tone, not very fast, not very explosive. He can only do long distance, so you can't convert him to much. Like, all he can do is run. A sprinter can sprint, jog, run, whatever, hurdles. So, um, my point, what I'm trying to say is, you're obviously aerobic, power, fast twitch, like myself, and so therefore you and I can be as good as Lucas. Lucas is also an outlier because he's like one of the best, not only in his weight class but pound for pound. The question would be the probability of us getting that good. Like, how probable is it that we can get that good? It's tough, man. Like, I think we can if we trained full time, and I mean trained full time. Got 8 to 10 hours of sleep, got our meals prepped, trained 2-3 times a day. And when I say train 2-3 times a day, that doesn't mean roll hard 2-3 times a day. Okay, like that's very important. Lifted, had a plan, competed, did a camp. Like, all those things would make us maximally great at jiu-jitsu. um how, like, if the level is 10, a level 10 out of 1 through 10, and Lucas is the 10, how close can we get to the 10? Because we're always going to be a little bit different than Lucas because of our body types. Like, you're going to do things a little bit different, I'm going to do things a little bit different. Definitely probable and possible. The question is, how much are you willing to put in to get that good? Because with that will come many sacrifices. For example, Lucas started a family later than you and I did. Lucas's daughter is, let's see, his daughter is like 3 years old, and Lucas is already 38. So he had his first kid at 35. That's kind of late in my culture. I think it's late in your culture. It's even late in his Brazilian culture. So that's a sacrifice he had to take. Um, he doesn't have other kids. I'm sure he will, but he's prolonging it because he still has competitions coming out. So something's got to give, right? He travels every weekend, and that's more, his traveling is more of his profession and his like money earning potential. So it doesn't really affect his like competitive skill. But those sacrifices come with a cost, right? Like, in order for him to be good, he's gonna probably have kids at a later age than you and I did, which happened. He's probably gonna have less kids than you and I, which is happening right now. Um, so far you have more kids than him, and I don't know if he will have more. He said he wanted to, but maybe later. So he's gonna have them later in life. How much does he spend with them? How much does he spend with his wife? Um, at what cost are you willing to pay to get that good? Because at the end of the day, I mean, winning competitions are great, but true fulfillment and meaning is from families, man. Like, in my opinion, like, at the end of the day, it's not even what you do, it's who you do it with. That's really what it's about. For sure, there's fulfillment and meaning in what Lucas has created, but I think it makes it special because he's created it with the people that he loves and with the people that love him back. So that's a big question. So my answer is a kind of a deep answer, and there's so much more to like talk about that. But to keep it short, yes, I think you would be slightly above average. And the reason I say slightly above average is because by the time you get a black belt, the generation would have increased the average level of a black belt slightly, not a lot. Because remember, competitive black belts are always like a small percentage of black belts. I do think you will be slightly above average, only because I've seen you obsessed with learning and you have a really good ear and eye. Can we get as good as Lucas? I wouldn't say like as Lucas, but if you were to say, because Lucas is different, but if you were to say Lucas is a 10, how well can we be a 10 out of 10 and like be our maximum potential and at that level in the competition arena? I think we can, but I think it would be at a cost. I think it would be at a cost. I don't know how great. It would be hard to like write it out, but yes, like, you definitely can create a plan to get that good. Just a lot of things would have to be sacrificed. And how well are you with that? And how well is Amanda with that? And how well are the kids with that? Like, those are all tough questions. You're still young to get there if you wanted to. But, to be honest, your YouTube channel would suffer because, like, how much time are you going to have to prep for this achievement when you have, like, you won't have time to edit all the time like you do now. Like, you won't. You would have to be, like, strictly just focused on studying jiu-jitsu and training and traveling. Do you know what I'm saying? So, not that you would suffer because you already have such a strong following that you're just going to continue to grow, but like you wouldn't be able to put out 2 videos every day if you were serious about jiu-jitsu, like in a professional level. Maybe 1 video a day is probably manageable. Heck, maybe 2. You would just have to be like on the clock, like, hey, I'm gonna work 2 hours on my YouTube, I'm gonna train my session, gonna eat my healthy meal, I'm gonna do my another YouTube, I'm gonna train my second session, you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's like some things gotta give. Anyway, that's a long audio. Tell me what you think.
Oh man, that's. I mean, that's something, man. It's always good to. Um, I think one of the greatest things that has happened to me in life so far is I have coaches, man. I have coaches. If you think about the greatest men in the world, they typically had coaches, some type of coaches. Think of whether it's your sport athletes, whether it's your CEOs. It doesn't matter what it is. Your innovators or whatever it is. Having a coach, right? Having someone that you can go to, whether it's they're coaching you for fitness, whether they're coaching you for your nutrition, or whether they're coaching you for your mental health, or whether they're coaching you for lifestyle, right? They're you got to have a coach because you really can't do these things yourself. And this is a mistake that we make all the time, where you think that you're smart enough to do things yourself. There's some things that you're smart enough to do yourself, but for a lot of other things, you need other people to help you with that. You need people to coach you with that. And I've put myself in a position where I'm just gathering coaches left and right, right? Like I've got a jujitsu coach, I've got a strength and conditioning coach. My dad, in a lot of ways, helps act as like my coach up here. The people that I listen to when I get on YouTube, like when I'm driving, the sort of intellectuals that I listen to, I do my very best to absorb knowledge from as many places as I possibly can. And it's always good to be told the truth, regardless of how difficult it sounds to hear. Would I have loved him to say, God damn, Henry, like watching you roll, man, like you're an anomaly, bro. Like you're gonna. It would have been nice to hear that, but that's not the truth, and I knew that. I knew that. Even when you look at the anomalies in this sport, someone like Gordon Ryan, for example, when you hear the workload, the amount of work that man puts in the gym, it is actually mind blowing. And I don't even know if I would be able to put in that sort of work if I was single and I didn't have a family and I didn't have like other responsibilities, man. Like I don't even know if I'd be able to put in the sort of work he puts in, let alone now that I've got a family, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got, obligations, I've got this YouTube thing. There's multiple obligations I have to my family back home, to just all over the place. It'll be very, very, very difficult for me to say, all right, I'm going to pour everything into jiu-jitsu. So for me to do that, I have to sacrifice things that are more important than jiu-jitsu, and it's not something that I am going to do. It is not something I am willing to do, and it's something that will not be noble at all if I did it. So this was very good. I really appreciate Professor Tony Caceres for laying it out the way he did. He was very honest. He was straight to the point. He was blunt with it, and I really appreciate that. I love being spoken to that way, because then, like, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. And also, I'll have realistic expectations as well. You know what I mean? I don't want to start losing my mind if, like, I roll with, if I get to black belt and I roll with a competition black belt and they they freaking wipe the floor at me. I don't want to get depressed because of it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go into this thing with realistic expectations, knowing this is as good as you're going to get. Deal with it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, that is it. If there's any of you out there that are still, like, a lot of you, anytime I go to competitions now, I meet a bunch of you. That means the world to me. And you guys come up to me and you're like, oh my God, I started doing jiu-jitsu because of you. If there's some of you out there that are still considering even if it's not jujitsu, man, you get into some kind of martial arts. I would suggest jujitsu or boxing or wrestling, but even if it's not jujitsu, I would like you guys to get into something. The time that you're spending, I'm not saying stop playing video games. I can't tell you that. I will never tell you that. I'm not telling you to not have fun, but especially if you're young, man. Like if you have youth on your side, man, don't throw that away. Take advantage of that. You're young, you have energy, you have time. Time is, like, a lot of you don't understand how valuable time is because you have a lot of it, man. But there's gonna come a time when you're not going to have as much time as you have right now, and I need you to focus on turning yourself into the absolute best man that you can be. Get yourself in the gym. It's not just about learning self-defense skills. It's also for up here, for your mental health. Trust me on that. It's for your confidence. It's for your fitness, your heart, building camaraderie, meeting new people, joining a community. It's way more than just self-defense. It's way more than just learning skills, how to defend yourself. It's way more than that. You know? Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoyed this style of video where I kind of share something a little bit intimate with you guys. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comment section, and I will definitely see you guys later. As always, stay safe. Peace out. Have a good one, boys.